Should I put my EQ post or pre-compression? Why not both? Why does everybody have to say post or pre? It's post and pre, right? Compression, EQ. Either side. If you want, either side, right? The reason I say post and pre, put on either side of the compressor, is because, well, firstly, why limit yourself? The only reason that you would be limiting yourself is if you've got one EQ and it's hardware and you've got one compressor. Do I put it post or do I put it before or after the compressor? In that case, I would say put the EQ before the compressor. Make your EQ adjustments, go into the compressor, compress. Ideally, have one after. Because one thing you don't want to do is EQ, compress, and then not be able to bring out some of that. You will get a better sound, trust me, you'll get a better sound if you have an EQ after as well as before, not just after. Either one before and nothing after, or one before and one after. You'll bring out certain sounds, right? You'll compress certain things into the channel, right? You'll compress your sound, but then you can bring out and pull it out, and you'll get such a better sound. Trust me. I've got in here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of six EQs. I've got 2 before the compressor, and then 4 after the compressor. Now you might think, well, why? What is the point of 6 EQs? Well, one EQ does one thing, one EQ does another thing, another EQ's after the compressor does a totally different job. One does everything, but it does it before the compressor. So there's multiple ways of using EQ and before and after compression. So the one thing I would say is it's not a case of before or after, both. Try and do both. Because look, when you EQ, you can, when you're running into the EQ, set your EQ up, get it sounding great, get your source sounding amazing. That's my EQ that I want. You apply the compression, certain things will get squashed and will get compressed into that mix. Bring out the tops. Trust me, you start bringing out the top, bring out the kind of higher mids, you bring out of those sounds, after the compression, your songs will breathe, and a lot of life will breathe back into that mix. That's my opinion on post or pre-compression. I never ever do one or the other. If I'm in the box, I have a channel strip, for instance. Say for instance I'm using the SSL 4KB. I'll have the 4KB and I'll use the EQ. The EQ would be before the compressor, so we go EQ on the channel strip, then into the compressor, then I'll have an EQ after it as well. It might not be directly after it, but there will be an EQ after it, and that EQ is just used to just lift out a few things. And I might not always do that, but I've got it there just in case I need to. So yeah, in regards to the question of post or pre compression, where to put an EQ, both. Why not? There's nothing stopping you. Like I said at the start of the video, the only thing stopping you is if you've got one EQ and one compressor. That's the only time you should be looking at, okay, I'm limited to that one EQ, so where would I put it? In that case, put it before the compressor. If you have 2 EQs, which if you're working in a box, everybody's got 2 EQs, before and after. In the analog world, ideally, 2 before, 2 after. I mean, that's how I work. Yeah, so that's my opinion on, and that's all it is. It is an opinion. It's no factual. It's not really factual. It's not like you have to do it that way. That will get you a better sound though, having both, because there's positives of using a compressor, an EQ after the compressor, and there's positives of using an EQ before the compressor. So why not take the positives from both and use them? Compressor in the middle, EQs either side.